Check one, check two. Check one, check two. Let's see if I'm coming in a little clearer. See if I can get people to come back. Check one, check two. Hopefully I'm back. I was been struggle streaming lately, so I'm trying to get it together. Uh, Give me one in the chat if you can hear me. My audio was off last time, so great check on my phone. I think I figured it out. Poor me. So my mom would tell me, poor little old me. I'm getting it together. Um, Happy Thursday again. So let me check my stream settings. My stream health. It says I'm healthy, so let me pull it up and get going. Hopefully everybody come back, but it's all good. I'm still learning the game. Still learning the game, but about to get started. You see it on there. Let me bring up the, I'll just leave that. Cybersecurity compliance, IRS publication 1075. Something, talk about a little domain knowledge. When we talk about cybersecurity, we talk about it in general. We talk about it in red team, blue team, purple team, right? Red team is offensive. Blue team is defensive. Purple team's focusing on the application security. So I'm great. Bring myself up. Then I'm gonna get started. So if not, hopefully everybody can catch the replay. That's me live right there. Let's see what I'm doing. Get started. So if not, hopefully everybody. So that's me. I can hear my sound. So we'll get started. Sorry about the struggle streaming. I'm getting better. Some days are better than others, but I'm gonna get at it. So, um, I was actually on Network Bruh's channel yesterday, where everybody filed back in. Hopefully, give me one if you can hear me. I was struggle streaming last time, so give me one if you can hear me. I just listened to myself. So I was on Network Bruh, and he was talking about the food chain. So he didn't see where the JB food thing got. Thanks, Gray Fox. I appreciate that. You be everywhere on YouTube. Every time I fall in the chat, I see you in there, Gray Fox. You be making the rounds. I appreciate you from coming back and helping me out. Thanks for the one. Once again, we about to get started. Any cybersecurity questions you have, just drop them in the chat and I'll answer them. We can pivot, as long as it's in cybersecurity or technology, we can pivot to it. Um, One part of cybersecurity that a lot of people don't know about, it's technical but not technical, it's compliance, right? Most people know I worked for DoD, Department of Defense, for 11 years. I currently work at a state government installation, so I do security, I do compliance. I've done everything, but currently I'm doing compliance. So what does that mean? Federal agencies, IRS, OSHA, FISMA for DoD, HIPAA for health, FERPA for kids. When you do business with those people or you're collecting information from, you have to do compliance, right? So I used to work for the number 11th largest drug company in the United States, right? So they had to report to HIPAA. So what does that mean? If you work for a big company, you gotta have policies, procedures, training, uh, COOP, disaster recovery, system security plan. All of that's paperwork, right? But that's paperwork from a cybersecurity perspective. So I think a lot of people don't really understand and that's actually kind of project management work. But when you work on a project, the last project I worked on had 450 to 500 programmers on it, right? So to get that coordinated and Thanks, Dave. In the 5 different states, right? You need project management, and part of that is compliance for those big projects, right? So I'm got a project manager coming in. She has a CISM for certificate of information, I think, system management. So her job is to do compliance on that, right? So I think that's a part of security people don't even think about, right? Those people make 6 figures, right? And I always joke with her, she bossed me around, right? I gotta go get the system security plan. I gotta work with the thanks, Helmut. I appreciate that. I got to work with the developers. I got to work with the DBAs. I got to work with all that. So I got to give her all that paperwork so she can put it together so we can say we have compliance. So cybersecurity, like different other domain knowledges, is there's specific things. Thanks, Tiny. There's specific domain knowledges you need to know in security. Part of it's technical, right? I'm very comfortable with the DBAs. I'm very comfortable with the Linux guys. I'm very comfortable with the Cisco guys. But the other part of that is when people come in and audit your company, right? I missed a rough meeting. Me and Tiny worked together. I know you had it, Tiny. You CISP. I know you can handle them. So what part of domain knowledge can you bring to cybersecurity that's non-technical, right? A lot of times we talk about technology and non-technical soft skills, management, project management. One of those compliances, and we're gonna dig down the rest of them later, is IRS publication 1075. So if you work in a state, every state has a Department of Revenue. Every state Department of Revenue gets information from the IRS. If you get information from the IRS, you have to abide by IRS publication 1075. And you see it right there on your screen. Tax information security guidelines for federal, state, and local agencies that get information from the IRS. Right? So the IRS wants to make sure you're taking care of those. And the other part about it is it's more than Department of Revenue. It's a lot of child welfare offices use state information because they usually ask, what's the parents making? If I need to garnish you with child support, right? They get that information from the IRS, right? So usually there's like 3 or 4 big agencies in the state that actually gets information from the IRS. Will get my CompTIA CIA cert also. Trey Wilson, are you asking if you get the CompTIA Security Plus, will that help? The answer is yes. Don't forget tech writing. Oh, facts. Trey Wilson. Actually, don't forget tech writing, explaining things and breaking. Yeah, and I'm a horrible writer, so I actually appreciate the tech writing skills. So I give it to him and he deciphers it, right? Because when you report to the IRS or HIPAA, FISMA, your stuff's got to be laid out perfectly. So we actually do hire a tech writer in the house. Thanks for coming back, Blind Guy, his wife, and their life. I actually was on your live stream. I got to get my fruits and vegetables. I got to eat better, Blind Guy. I'm not doing well. I got to eat better. I got to lose some weight. I enjoyed that live stream. Everybody go out and check out Blind Guy, his wife, and their life. They were talking about eating well and living longer. I definitely need to get on that stream. So we're gonna actually go through some of the IRS Pub 10 publication 1075. What makes it special? We're gonna look at AWS and how they can definitely help you with this compliance and kind of walk through that, so people can understand how compliance meets with technology and how you can get some of that compliance back. Right? There's a thing called GRC. Governance, risk, and compliance. There's a whole section of security where Archer is the big 100-pound gorilla. There's some open source other software we're going to use, and it keeps track of all that paperwork you need to handle an audit. Usually when you get audited, it's usually at the federal level or the state level. Once again, we talked about a HIPAA, FERPA for education, HIPAA for health, FISMA for DOD. And 2 is when you in those government sites and those government jobs, they usually pay a little better, right? Let's be realistic. I like federal money. The pays usually well. I usually end up working for a contracting company as a consultant, and that's the bad because you're coming in with a unique skill set, right? So you understand technology, but this is a domain name skill you combine with technology to really kill it and to really get the bag, right? So I'm just gonna peruse through that federal tax information. They call it safeguarding. It's critical, important to the continuous pro- protection of taxpayer confidential information. It's a set of arts and consists of federal tax returns and return information and information derived from it, and that as an agency possession or control, which is covered by the confidentiality protection of the IRC, subject to IRC 6103P4. So what's in the bold at the bottom is really what it is. FTI includes any information created by the receipt that is derived from federal return or return information received from the IRS or obtained through a secondary source. Right, so basically anything that you get from the IRS or the IRS calculates for you, you have to use IRS Pub 1075 to actually lock it down and control that data. And the IRS usually come on site every 3 years to make sure you're doing that correctly. Right, so one of my skill set is information assurance and auditing. Right, fancy word for when the auditors come on site, I handle them. Right, I always joke, I want all the smoke from the auditors. Right, send me those questions. Right, we got to lay those out. Right, CL, we work together. He's new to the, I wouldn't call him new. He's getting his information security chops up. I'll probably agree go give me another job next year, so he's gonna take the baton and run with him. He just got his CISP, so he's definitely running in the right direction, ready to get the big bag and ready to make it happen. Helmet, good stuff. I had a good run this morning. I need to get me a walk going on before I start running, Helmet, but you're my role model. Okay, PII, personally identifiable information. FTI may include personal identifying information. So we see some at the top: name of the person, taxpayer mailing address, taxpayer identification, telephone number, social security number, bank account number, date of birth, mother's maiden name. Even if you got biometric data, sometimes we might take your fingerprint for MFA to get on, retina eye scan to get on, biometrical data, height, weight, eye color, right? Any combination of the above. But let's remember what the other thing said. It had to specifically come from the IRS. If you got it from another source, it could be the same SSN, but unless you got it from the IRS, it's not federal tax information, right? Even though it's the same field. Just going to go over a few physical security things. I think a lot of people forget that's part of security, right? The physical infrastructure. How do you handle it? So, secure perimeter enclosed by slab-to-slab walls, constructed of durable material. Outdoors entering the space must be locked according to the lock system. In case of a fence gate, the fence must be an intrusion detection device or continually guarded. The gates must either be guarded or locked with intrusion alarms. Security room is a room that's been constructed to resist force of entry. The entire room must be enclosed by slab by slab. Door hinges, pins must not be removed or installed in there, right? So now we're talking about the computer room, how it's installed, how are you handling, right? Everybody's familiar with badge employees. Now that's so common when you work in especially a government installation. You're gonna go in during business hours. If authorized personnel serves as a second barrier between the FTI and unauthorized individual, the authorized personnel must wear a picture identification badge or credentials. The badge must be clearly displayed and worn above the waist. Right, we had a big argument about that. A lot of people like to wear them on the belt, right? This is federal government. We worry about the itty bitty things, right? So it's got to be worn above the waist, right? For the badge employee, that's huge, right? Above the waist. Security container and storage, turtle case, safe vault with resistance of force penetration, security lock control, or access to keys or combination. So when we transport FTI, or it's in some transportation, we got to have it in a security container. And my boss, I believe, if it's in within 50 miles, he expects you to gas up. You get it. You can't go to the bathroom, man. You got to deliver it to where it's supposed to be, man. Right? This is federal information. I'm entering my boss. He's the CISO, Chief Information Security Officer. He said I can enter. He used to work for the NSA, so he's kind of super uptight. So I like him, though. I always joke with him. He's a good guy, but he's a little more tighter on regulations, right? One of the big things too is we talk about this, and everybody know this, right? When you do security, your background's got to be clear, right? There's nothing can be on it, right? If not, you need to try to get that expunged, right? So one of the things when the IRS put 1075 is background investigation minimum requirements determine the suitability of individual who requires access to United States government sensitive but unclassified information, including FTI, which is federal tax information, is a key in ensuring adequate information security. Right? So you're gonna do a background check. Nothing new, nobody surprised. If you need a healthy shake option, I have the link. Put that link in there. Yeah, I'm trying to get my healthy going on, man. I'm getting up there, man. I'm in my 50s and I had a hard life, man. I tell people I be aging in dog years, man. So, like, what kind of background? There's different type of background. People don't realize there's different type of background investigation. This is one of the higher levels because you're dealing with federal tax information. The background investigation for individual access to FTI, federal tax information, must include at minimum an FBI fingerprinting review of the Federal Bureau of Investigations. Right, so now you got the FBI fingerprint. You're going through an FBI database, right? So they really digging into your background. Fingerprint results conducted to identify possible suitability issues. Contact the appropriate state identification bureau, and a list of the identification bureaus can be found, and that's the link. But the big part of that I put in bold is you're going through an FBI database when they run your fingerprints. This is just not know somebody doing a skip trace on you, right? When you're dealing with federal tax information, they gonna dig deep into your background, right? Another part of that is FTI transported through mail, right? Now we're talking about the physical aspects of handling federal tax information, what that looks like. Federal FTI transported through email or character message server must be double sealed. So that means you put that information in two envelopes. One envelope within another envelope. The inner envelope must be marked confidential with some indication that only the designated official or delegate is authorized to open it. The outermost envelope should be labeled FTI or provide any indication for the contents containing FTI, since that it actually might increase the risk of contents. Using a sealed box services the same person as a double seal prevent anyone from viewing the internal contents. So basically, you got to put the two envelopes in there. Don't label the outside, as a plain, so it doesn't look like you send the information. Then on the inside, you put who it belongs to and that it has FTI in it. Right, so that's one of the intricacy of our IRS publication 1075, and I always thought that was interesting. Right, so we talking about the physical handling of paper, right? We about to get into computers. We about to talk about the AWS, but part of that I want to talk about is like we talk about locks and boxes and webcams and double enveloping it and what you put on the outside and in the second envelope, right? Because we talking about your information as a taxpayer and how we would handle that in your state, right? Shout out to Engineering Cannabis. We had a great chat. He's got me thinking of how we gonna get people interested in artificial intelligence and machine learning. He's got me thinking about that. So shout out to him. He's definitely the man in that area. I probably interview him on my show when I figure out my struggle streaming. I'm still working on that. Helmet, I remember when I was Helmet. I remember when I had a job at the U.S. Embassy, I asked if they needed me to provide my ex-wife info. Guy said, nope, we will fire. Facts. They went to my apartment and talked to my neighbors, checking out my soft skills. I sort of. Did you have a top secret helmet? Because one of my good friends, of course, I'm having him on the channel. He had a top secret, and they actually interviewed all his neighbors. He was worried because one of his neighbors didn't like him, so he thought his neighbor might sabotage him. So be nice to your neighbors out there. they might get interviewed in a top secret interview. One guy I know, he was the ex-Navy SEAL. He actually had the polygraph, where they actually hooked him up to a polygraph machine. So now we're going to get into it. I always love starting off with AWS. They're usually my 800-pound gorilla in this industry. Um, Usually anything I need to do, security wise, compliance wise, or in there, AWS is gonna have me. So if you go to AWS site, they actually have their compliance standards. So I took a couple shots of that. So um, the not weird thing, but the cool thing is there are four types of data centers. There's government, then there's FedRAMP, there's government FedRAMP, and government compliant. Then there's a commercial FedRAMP. Commercial FedRAMP means I'm a commercial vendor. I might be selling it to the government, so I want this data center to be hardened at the government level, right? Those VMs are going to cost you a little more, right? But they'll be hit hardened at a certain level. So we can read that real quick in the AWS. They said AWS Internal Revenue Service Publication 1075 provides guidance for U.S. government agencies and their agents to protect federal information. While the IRS does not publish an official designation or certification for compliance with Pub 1075, AWS supports organizations to protect FTI managed in AWS by aligning our implementation of NIST 800-53 FedRAMP security controls with the respective IRS Pub 1075 security requirements. AWS was worked closely with the IRS to ensure that AWS GovCloud and AWS East and West regions meet Pub 1075 requirements, storing and processing FTI. So the AWS Government Cloud and AWS US East and West, you can put publication 1075 in there. So why does that matter and why would you care? Number one is you understand those data centers security is at a higher level, right? Because they expect you to handle federal tax information, right? And if you are a company trying to do business with the IRS, you want to make sure you're in the proper data center so you can get those designations right and be able to get those security compliance up to that certain level, right? But I always remember, and that's coming up, it's a shared responsibility between you and AWS, but you got to be in the right data center so you know you can comply with that, right? That specific domain knowledge you could use in an interview that says, hey, I know what federal tax information is. I know what data centers in AWS we can put that information in, right? So that's when we talk about domain specific knowledge. Let's see. Trey jumped in there. I'll check out some shakes. Man, I had the same thing. Yeah, facts, Helmet. You gotta be careful. The ex didn't answer my calls. Fed showed up and she was asking the hell he got going into that. Yeah, you gotta be careful with them. A friend of mine, his niece said something, so he had to go get re-adjudicated. That means get your investigation over for you to get your background clearance. So yeah, Helmet's showing y'all, man. Once you get it though, that's the next level you need, so you can move around. And once you get it, until you leave, like I said, mine probably just expired probably 3 or 4 years ago, but it's good to have them. You don't. Oh, they're not. No, Stan, it's true. But if your neighbor said that you were stealing, or if your neighbor said he saw you doing some suspicious stuff, Stan, that would theoretically put your clearance. They don't have to like you, but that will make your clearance go longer because they trying to figure out, okay, is your neighbor bullshitting or are you malleable? Meaning, can I make you take a bribe? If your neighbor said, I saw him smoking marijuana, I see the cops over there him all day, I promise you they're going to take longer with your investigation. They're going to try to pull those police reports. So if your neighbor don't like you, they can cause you a lot of headache. Maybe not stop it, but it can cause you a lot of headache, man. Helmet, bedroom bullying time reminds me of shovel ranks. Facts. I got with you anything AI machine learning related. Also like cool engineer campus. Yeah, I seen you know keep it tech. You've been on a ton of interviews, so you know I'm always in the chat. Yeah, I know that, but back then it was freaking out. No, that's true. To see, cool. So this is the second part of once again AWS talking about IRS. While the IRS does not publish any information, okay, I think I was still on that. So here's the new slide. AWS offers the following FedRAMP compliance systems that have been granted authorization and have addressed the FedRAMP security controls based on the NIST 853, have used the FedRAMP templates for security packages and in secure FedRAMP repository, have been accessed by an accredited independent third-party assessor, 3PL, and maintain continuous monitoring requirements for FedRAMP. So at a high level, what does that mean? They have people like Booz Allen, Accenture come out to AWS and do an audit of them to make sure they're in compliance with the IRS. Once again, those were the two ones we were looking at. AWS Gov has been granted a joint application provisionary authority to operate, a JIA PTL, and multiple agency authorizations for higher level. AWS East and West, located in North Virginia, Ohio, Oregon, and in North California, has been granted a joint authorization board. So basically, those data centers, once again, has been signed off to handle IRS information. Once again, we talking about domain-specific knowledge. That's the domain skills you would bring in if you were working. Like I'm probably freelance, so people might say, I need to do business with the IRS or I need to do business with a federal agency, right? If it's a federal agency at the level of the IRS, I'm going to tell them you're going to need to be in AWS Gov or use the AWS US East and West, right? So, let's see. Damn, I got goosebumps when the last time you smoked marijuana out my mouth. I haven't smoked marijuana probably since I was in high school, probably 1984, probably was the last time I smoked marijuana. Number one, I ran a little track across country in college, and the NCAA tests you quite frequently in college, which was weird because I walked on. I wasn't even on varsity. I didn't even get travel, so I was actually doing a lot of PN cups. So I don't smoke a lot of marijuana. Now my homies smoke like a chimney, but me, nah, man, I'm L7. I'm kind of square. That's an old term. So here's the FedRAMP, which is FedRAMP.gov. You can actually bring up a service. So I brought up Amazon East and West. If you see there's a check in the box, so that means they're FedRAMP authorized, meaning they passed the 3PO, they passed the test, they got their FedRAMP stamp of approval. If you look to the left on the system profiles, there's three types of cloud: infrastructure as a service, PaaS, platform as a service, or software as a service. Right? There are FedRAMP for all three. So when you go look up in FedRAMP.gov, if you're looking up Amazon, Azure, Rackspace, and two, they have separate products. So if somebody gives me a product and they need to do business with the government, I'll come out here and see if they have their FedRAMP and what level or they're supporting. Is that information as a service? I'm sorry, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, or software as a service, right? And two, it says deployment model, public cloud, right? There's two. There's a public, US East and West is a public cloud, and right, moderate impact is moderate, right? High would be life or death. If you deal anything with data, it's always going to be moderate. IRS, HIPAA, right? If you're talking radar, nuclear subs or something, the impact level will be high, right? So that you can go there and look them up. And two is you see the website to the right in the box. If you're a federal client, you can actually put your email in there and request that they send you their FedRAMP packages. I looked at a couple FedRAMP packages. They both were around 1,000 pages long, right? So let's see. Oh, good. Experience teaches you a lot. I'm old, man. It is a old school Bruce Lee, but that is me, Bruce Lee. What's up, Erica? Glad you can come. Always glad to see you, Erica. I'm gonna try to interview you on my channel. You're more than welcome to come. Talking about IRS Pub 1075 federal compliance. Talking about it in AWS right now. Having that per cloud compliance. Cloud is where the money at. Erica's got a lot of cloud experience, so I'm trying to make sure I'm getting ready for the next cloud, next big bag. I'm 50. I'm trying to make it to 60 with the cloud. I'm gonna retire, man. I'm turning it over to y'all, man. I'm turning it over. You can admit to having tried drugs. It's not a big deal. Oh, facts, Dan. 100%. I wouldn't lie, especially since I haven't done it more. I would never lie on a Fed screen because they could easily switch that over to a polygraph. 100%, Stan. It helps you get your energy up to do what you need to do, work, exercise a lot, work. Trust me. Oh, facts, sir. Oh, facts. Long story short, Terrell, my mom passed away a couple years ago, so that kind of threw my groove off. But you're right. I'm trying to get back on my exercise program, get back on my eating right, getting back on my intermittent fasting, my keto. Especially at my age, get all that together so I can start going in the right direction. But it's harder said than done. I was under a lot of stress the other week. I was eating a Big Mac, Trey. I like the good Big Mac sometime, man. Yeah, sometimes. Right, the lines what I yeah, facts, yeah. I never lie, man, because a lie is always gonna come out, man. So on the screen right now, everybody knows this. If you deal with AWS, Azure, or any of the big cloud vendors, it's gonna be a shared responsibility. So it tells you. I'm just gonna read the highlight, the bullet. AWS is responsible for security of the cloud, right? And the customer is responsible for what's in the cloud. What's of the cloud? Routers, networking, disk storage, all this stuff, badging we was talking about, webcams, right? All this stuff's of the cloud. In the cloud is what you put together, right? When you set up your VPC and your networking, if you do platform as a service right now, you got to stick or do CIS checks for your Tomcat and Apache. If you're gonna spin up your own database, MySQL or even Oracle, right? If you spin it up yourself and you're not using software as a service, you're responsible for patching that. You're responsible for the security level of that, right? So that's what it means when it's shared, right? So we know that they got a piece and we got a piece. I get a lot of reviews and people like, well, I'm secure because I'm in AWS. I'm like, okay, they got of the cloud. Where's your in the cloud, right? You wrote the program, you worked the code, you spun up the application servers. You're responsible for that, right? So if you Google Capital One, they didn't lock down their database from the internet. So somebody came in the internet, got to their database, and stole a lot of their data stuff. And Congress asked AWS about it. AWS said it worked as designed. They designed it wrong and they got hacked. We give them the pieces to design it. We don't tell them how to design. Now, if you want to pay for that, we can help you, but you're responsible for how you design it. That's not AWS responsibility. It's a shared responsibility. I get a lot of small companies that say we good, we in AWS. I go, that's incorrect, right? So let's talk about that, right? So Erica, excellent CISM tested project I'm doing 24/7 live on my personal Zoom with my friends and supporters. That's cool. Erica, eat your fruit, facts on the detox. All good, son, man. Data analytics, and after the Azure search, Microsoft got a pretty good data analytics search. Facts. Good luck, Erica. Sound like you rolling in the right direction, though, as always. So when you talk about compliance, right? There's always, I call it the management section, the paperwork section, right? How do you move around? So when you talk about IRS Pub 1075, that's based on the 20 security families of NIST 800-53. That's the new version R5, right? So the management piece is policies and procedures for each one of these families, right? And the documentation of how you're implementing those, right? So we're just gonna peruse through this. I'm not gonna delve down at the highlight, but when you're doing a security system, right? We're just not talking about bits and pieces. We talking about the whole thing. So part of that is access control, awareness training, audit and accountability, assessment, authorization and monitoring, configuration and planning, contingency planning, identification and authentications, incident response, maintenance, media protection. That's the first 10, right? So as a security team or security group, the first thing, if you talk about management is down, is once again you're gonna have policies for those. You're gonna have procedures for those. You're gonna have SOPs for those, right? Standard operating procedures. How access control. How do you give a user access in your organization? How do you revoke access for organization? When person moves from one area to the other, how do you know that the area they left that get revoked and only the new stuff gets added, right? And because you go to a lot of organizations, they're like, clone me after that this person that works in the office. Why would you clone them off of somebody work? That person could have been on a special project. That person could have extra stuff. This person's new. So obviously you giving him permissions he don't even need, right? So when people say they're gonna clone stuff, I already know they're gonna be, off. The organization's not as tight as it needs. The other 10 are physical and environment protection. We were talking about that. Webcam, badges, locking up planning, program manager, personnel security, PI processing and transmission, risk assessment, system service and acquisition. How are you buying that stuff? Is it open source? How are you keeping track of the CVEs? Did you look at that software to make sure there was no bugs in it, right? When you talk about system service and acquisition, system and communication protection, system and information integrity, and the big one is riding off of SA, supply chain risk management, right? People been getting hacked through fish tanks, through HVACs, through, different stuff. So they want to say, in your supply chain risk management, how are you looking at software to make sure you don't become hacked or attacked again, right? Then each one of those drills down into subfamilies, and we're just gonna look at this one quick subfamily. I got another video, and I'm actually gonna probably do a class on information assurance and GRC and compliance manager, right? So this is it. AC, right, was access control, and each one of them has a subfamily. So this is separation of duties, like we talked about. Control A, identify and document it. Define the system access, authorization, and support for separation of duties. Separation of duties address the potential abuse of authorization privileges and help reduce the risk of malevolent activities without collusion. Separation of duties include dividing missions or business function and support functions among different individuals or roles. Right. So if a person has elevated privilege, right, you want to make sure he only has it for one system and maybe not across systems. Two is I got a Linux guy. He's top. He's my guy. He's got elevated privileges on it. But why does he have elevated privileges on a Windows box if he only does Linux? Right. So if a hacker gets his elevated privilege, he can only attack the Linux side. He can't attack the Windows side, right? That's separation of duties. Now, if you got a top-notch guy good in both, that's fine. But most time, I see the Linux guys with access privilege that to the Windows machine, and Windows guys have access. Why? Because support's lazy. They just gave all them guys those privileges, right? So as security analysts, we got to say, okay, we got to get least privilege because if a hacker gets the Windows stuff, I don't want him to be able to get to the Linux stuff, right? So those are the things from a least privilege. Right, there were 20 families. So if you look at 20, each one of those 20 families has another 10 subfamilies. Right, so then we need to make sure we go through each one of those families, make sure we have documentation because we're gonna get audited on that. Right, so as security analysts, information assurance, compliance directors, part of that is to make sure the people in the other areas are doing what they're supposed to do. Once again, the Cisco guys, the Linux guys, the Windows guys, the I said Cisco guys. I mean, there's a ton of people out there, in the whole organization. We gotta, as security analysts, we gotta make sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. All right. Let's see. Facts. Not everyone needs certain part. Tell me fact. What did I miss? I missed sidetrack doing. It's all good. You can look at the replay. Just going over IRS Pub 1075 from auditors, cybersecurity, insurance place, talking about domain specific knowledge that you need to actually get you to the next level, get you to the next bag, just different compliance things. So I do a lot with the IRS. So I thought let me touch on that because a lot of people don't know as part of security. Especially for big companies, usually you're reporting to a large government agency like the IRS, like FERPA if you're in education. I think HIPAA, you do drugs, and of course hospitals. HIPAA sucks because all the hospitals have been getting hacked. It's not a good language, but see how I'm in Google and MSDA search. I better check out AWS DA search. So yeah, I'm trying to start studying for my AWS Associate Architect. I've been saying that for like 2 or 3 years. I'm tired, so I need to get it. So, long story short, one of the cool things about the IRS that I like, they have a thing that actually applies to the physical checks that you put on the server, right? So if at the top, resources, these websites contain many resources that assist agencies with meeting publication 1075. And the one is I put it highlighted at the bottom of the screen. You can check it on the replay, but the one I like is computer security requirements documented in the safeguard computer security evaluation metrics. A schism is a templates organized by technology or topics, right? And we're gonna look at one. So they got Excel spreadsheets for Linux, Oracle, MySQL, any technology you want. They pretty much got a template for you. So when people ask me, how do I know if my organization's secure? These templates, I put the check actually on the device. Once again, web server, app server, database, routers, thing. Then once I do that, I can scan. It's gonna give me a score, right? And each of these checks are, I think they broke out in like four things. I think it's critical, significant, and a couple other things. But critical and significance high. If I got anything critical or significant that gets scanned, I need to fix that ASAP, right? So now I know if my infrastructure is secure. Why? I took these schisms, and I got a bigger slide that's going to delve into that. And it's going to tell me the checks I need to put on that devices. And when I put it on there, it's going to tell me if it's locked down or secure, right? So once again, that's computer security requirements documented by Safeguard Computer Security Evaluation Matrix, Schism, template organized by technology or topics. Schism documents and tests hardened requirements for specific technologies used to receive, process, store, or transmit FTI, which is federal tax information. Schisms can and should be downloaded from the Office of Safeguard website. So we go down to our office. They can actually download the Excel spreadsheets. I can give them to the team. Or if you have a scanner, any of those, Nexus is one, Rapid7 is one. There's a ton of them out there. QualSys is one. If you look out there, they have a template for IRS schisms. You put it in the scanner, then the scanner will scan the device and give you a score back. And that score, along with everything else, policies and procedures, right? You can talk about the level of risk your organization's at. Right? We're moving up the chain now, right? We cool with the Linux guys, we cool with the database guys, we cool with that. Those checks roll up to a total score, right? So when you talk to, and I'm gonna have a couple of people on. When I talk to the compliance director, the CISO, the security manager, even the CIO, right? And we've been in meetings with the CEO, right? They don't care about the individual score. They want to know what risk is it to the organization is, and how do I lower that risk, right? So that's really what the conversation's about. Right, lowering risk for the organization. Not that I have a high on the Linux box, I got the high on the Oracle, I got the high. But I need to figure out how to get those highs down and get the overall score down for the risk of the organization. Right, so this is one of the checks on the spreadsheet. Some red hat, so it shows it. Install updated patches and additional security software. Periodically, patches are released for individual software, either due to security flaws or to include additional functions. It shows you how to test. Run the following command to verify that no updates or patches are installed. The latest security patches are installed and the system is registered. Right, so I can look up what's the newest patch set, and when I run that command, it's going to give me a number for that patch set. If it's not most up to date or at least one behind, if it's more than one behind, we have a problem, right? We're open probably to a hack, right? Because each of those patches, there are security patches in there, right? So let's read. The other next one is transmission and confidentiality and integrity. It tells you what NIST controls. Change the system-wide crypto policy. System-wide crypto policies followed by the crypto core components allow consistently deprecating and disable algorithm system-wide. It shows you the grep one and some of the algorithms you would use for HTTPS, encryption on the disk, right? Some of those could be outdated or known ciphers that can be hacked, right? So this is going to tell you is, are you using the most up-to-date cipher, right? Because if you see that little lockup in the browser, if you click on it, that's going to show you your ciphers and which ciphers are outdated, right? So that's one reason I like the schisms. And when you do a small system, it's going to be about 3,000 checks, right? So those are the checks you put on your system to say, hey, if I'm good or not, or do I need to do issues? This is live, is in line with my CISM. Oh, good job. Oh, 100%, Erica. I'm actually gonna have my compliance director on. She has a CISM. Cool black lady. She be on me all the time, but most definitely. So I would work for somebody like Erica. Erica's the boss. She would boss me around, and I would take these checks and make sure, like I said, I would work with the DBAs. I would work with the security team, and I would get with Erica, and she, like she said, she would run a GRC program like inventory. What's our issues? And if we do right, we have to do a poem. A poem is just a schedule when we're gonna fix this stuff, right? Because Erica's gonna be talking to the IRS to make sure we're gonna be in line. So shout out to Erica. I'm gonna have to come check you out, and you'll have to give me one of them private sections on the with your friends while you doing your studies team. But no, Erica, you're 100% right. I do work for a CISM currently with the GRC, so you're 100% right. As I tell people, I do this in real life. So now Erica's 100% right. And the two is, like I said, I'm gonna bring on her because I think, like she's right. GRC risk and compliance is a whole separate part of security. And Erica tell you, they get paid, and a lot of times they just get orders. She just ordered people, right? Because she's got to do all that paperwork, and it's 1,000 pages. But I got to make sure, she's gonna come to me and say, why is the Oracle database at such a wrong level, right? How do I do that? There she goes, security and vulnerability assessment. I do that every day. So yeah, she's right, talking about security and vulnerability assessment, and that's part of the GRC. 200K. I'm trying to get there, Erica. I see you. I see you. But no, she's it. Like I said, I'm gonna bring a CISM that I work with, and like Erica said, that's what she does. And like I said, these were the checks, and on each one of these checks, like she said, from security and vulnerability assessment, I'm gonna tell her if it's secure, what is the compensating control. Me and Erica will work together to figure out. Okay, they couldn't do this on a machine, but they can do that. Is that compensating control good enough for the IRS to take? Right? Because usually when you do a system, it's usually in DoD. There's three categories, right? There's a high, medium, and low. There's a few highs, meaning you can only set this machine to this setting if it's a high. Three is cosmetic. And the twos, it's a ton of those, but you can fix them, have a compensating control, accept the risk, or buy insurance and move the risk, right? Most things people try to do is, okay, let's do mitigation control. So one of my favorite ones is I can't afford Oracle encryption. It's too expensive, right? And the check says the data has to be encrypted when it writes on the disk. So instead of using Oracle encryption, I encrypt it with the Java, right? The Java encryption meets that standard. It'll save it into the Oracle database, right? And that'll be a compensating control for the Oracle finding, right? So those are the things we will walk through with Erica as the CISM or the compliance director, me as the technical resource, right? Usually I'm a consultant, or if I'm head of a security manager, right? So I work with Erica, and we work together, and like I said, make sure we pass this IRS audit. So AWS, once again, right, they give you features to work with so you can become IRS compliant. They don't do it for you. They give you the features, right? Erica, that is management. Management's the brain. The worker bees are the body. Yeah, I'm kind of in the middle though. You the brains. I'm not quite a worker bee. I'm a supervisory bee. I tell the other bees what they need to do. I direct the other little bees. I'm a supervisory bee. So I'm in the middle of management and the body, because management sometimes don't understand what my brothers be saying in the technical world, because sometimes they be on the spectrum. Sometimes they don't communicate well with management. So my job is to be the interface between management and the worker bee, right? Technically wise, education wise, just understanding once again, IRS is a domain knowledge, right? So I work with essays. I give them the checks. Sometimes they come back and ask me questions about I couldn't do this check, or what does this check really mean, or how does it roll up? Like Erica says, Erica cares about when we looked at the security family, right? If you put this 14 character password, that rolls up to access and control, right? Erica really doesn't care the length of the password. She just wants to make sure access control, and we pass that family for the IRS for that particular line item, right? So there's a give and take on that. So where you want to be. So I'm the supervisor B. So man, the supervisor are the organs. Fact, Erica. So that's where they got to analyze their two facts. Help me. So once again, we're gonna go through some quick AWS. So these are the things the IRS looks for, but you're responsible for configuring, right? They give you, you can configure one way. You could configure them in multiple ways. Built-in firewalls, authentication, authorization, guest operating system, storage, private subnets, security logs, access, identification configuration, centralized key management, cloud AHM. AWS has trust advisors. It actually run through your whole setup and actually give it a score for IRS Pub 1075. Oh, you, Erica, I ain't touching that, but you are correct. The check for stick says the length of the password. Let me be very specific. The length of the password has to be 14 characters, 2 upper, 2 lower, and 2 special characters. If you use an MFA where it dials your phone, you can have 8 characters, 1, 1, and 1. Right? And 2 is if you are at Tiny's level, CL, we probably actually, because he's at an elevated security level, we probably want to have a multi-factor authentication, long password, even with the phone, and we probably give him a fob. Why? Because if CL gets hacked, they're going to get all the security vulnerabilities for the whole organization. So we're going to make him have a 3 MFA. So, yeah, I like that, Erica. I'm not touching with that. But, yeah, 14 characters, 2 upper, 2 lowers. And 2. My organization hates me. We do big, long passwords. I'm just going to leave that alone. Real quick, we just gonna we're almost done. If anybody got any questions, shout out to Erica. I'm glad she came by. She see how the ProfessorBlackOps roll. We doing big federal compliance over here. This right here is what AWS from an architectural diagram, and one thing you have to do from a federal compliance is you always got to have pictures and you always got to have documentation. So that is what they call a zero trust. That's what President Biden said. He wants all the federal agencies to move to a zero trust architecture. Basically, the zero trust architecture is going to try to stop East and West movement. So in the old days, I had 10 application servers. If you hack one of those application servers, you can touch anything on that subnet or that VLAN. Why? If you were on that VLAN, you were good, right? So the second part of that now is if you're on that VLAN, just because you got access to that web server, you try to go to another web server, nobody should be touching a web server unless it was coming from the admin VLAN, right? So we'll stop more viruses, stop more nation states, right? So that's at a high level what it was. So if we look on it at the top, going from top to bottom, you can see you got the WAF, web application firewall. CloudFront is DDoS protection. Get to the orange box, that's the application load balancer at the top in the middle. Web tier, you're going to be running Apache or IIS. Network load balancer, you're going to come back to the auto scaling proxy tier. Then you're going to go down to the bottom where it's got auto scaling app tier. Your app tier, once again, is going to be IIS or Tomcat if you're using Java. That's going to flow down there. If you see the purple box, that's the API gateway. At the bottom is the database. I'm an Oracle guy, so I usually run Oracle. I'm going to run MySQL. Right, then once again, we saw the CISIM checks. So they're going to be checks for each one of those boxes. No matter what colors, they're going to be schisms to be applied to those boxes to make sure that those boxes are secure and locked down. Let's see where we at. Stan, excellent information. I appreciate it, Stan. No questions, just chilling. I like that thing where you said just let your live stream run, blind guy. I can get some extra hours on that. Eric Jean Polymer, you mentioned a cert last couple. Which was that? Help me want to know if you're going for the AWS Architecture. I'm trying to study for the Associate Architecture. Government systems got hacked so bad, especially unemployment. Are you correct, community? The problem is when they looked at them, they didn't do what they were supposed to do. They didn't do this because they said it was so hard. And depending on the government organization, like I said, FERPA's education, they have their own. HIPAA's, hospitals, they've been getting really hacked. Hospitals at a low bar. I was joking with some guys. We need to team up and get $100 million and get a hospital. Bad joke. FISMA's DOD. So Community Solution Pro, it depends on which compliance they were using. And two is I review a lot of those for different compliance, and I think most people suck. I'm kind of arrogant. I'm a security bigot. So I'm very hard on it, and I try to make sure they're at the top of the level because um, a hospital got hacked where I'm from, and they couldn't take patients for 3 days, right? So people need to take security serious, especially now you're talking about nation states. You talking about just everybody. And two is I did a stream on autonomous trucks. So if you hack a truck and you take over a truck from a cyber hack, you can really kill somebody, right? So there's a lot of things at that level where I think you need to get your security up. So Community Solution Pro One, you're 100% correct on that. That's why there's a lot of job opportunities in this area because uh, government and federal security. I did another stream probably a month ago. There was government audit of 8 big agencies. One got a B plus, the rest of them got D pluses. We talking about big government agencies, right? So that came out. So there's a ton of stuff out there. Community Solution Pro One. So my job is to get people trained up so they can help them get the bag and actually help their organization, with that compliance and with those type of skills. Oh, I think that was it. I'm gonna bring that up. Bring that last one up again. Um, everybody drop. Erica, you trying to get every certification on the planet? Shout out to you though. I'm not hating. I'm appreciating. I'm old. I'm trying to get that AWS Solution Architect. I'm trying to get the cloud security. My young guy got me. I'm gonna get the CISP. Then the like I said, AWS Solution Architect. And the one I'm gonna do a stream on is privacy's getting big. CIPP. A lot of people's not hip to the privacy. A lot of global companies need a privacy czar now because each company has their own privacy certification. GDPR, European, California has their own. A couple other states have their own. So they're trying to get everything lined up. So I think that's going to be the next big thing is privacy with the CISP because that usually goes together. The CISO usually has privacy underneath them. Um, I think they got people information. Oh, 100%. Oh, yeah, I saw that. 100%, 100%. You're right, Community Solution One. They did hack them. They did. Oh, there's so much stuff. You can go buy securities on the dark web for like $1 or so security, and they guarantee it for, or a credit card too for a month. So yeah, all that stuff's on the dark web. You're 100% right on that computer. Pro, because if you look too, is they were harvesting information from LinkedIn and Indeed got hacked by hackers. Hackers were putting up fake job posts. You would apply for them, and they would just steal all the information you send them, right? Because usually you send them everything, your address, your email, your social security number times, because they act like you got the job and they want you to set up your bank account so you can get direct deposit. So Community Solution Pro One, you're 100% correct. I'm working on my CISM network, seeing all AWS and more. Facts. Yeah. Better Message app will be focused on privacy, and that's the next. Oh, facts. I'm gonna do a next week. I'm gonna do a stream on privacy. CIPP, CIPPM. There was three big privacy certifications. Once again, I met a privacy guru here. That's his company's international. He talks about 5 privacies in different countries around the world. So that's how he got into privacy. So we were kind of chopping it up on the privacy as well. And two is just a lot of people know I do an introduction to cybersecurity class on Sunday at 3 Eastern time. So if you want to come or check the replay, check it out. I actually have a playlist from all the back episodes in one spot, so you can hit the first one and let it play. Each stream is solo. They don't build on each other because I talk about one stream. I'm talking about VM, wireless, database, purple team, application, policies and procedure. So when we do introduction to cybersecurity, I touch on each piece of it. It's a 16-week course. I touched on each one. So when you listen to that, you can kind of get a piece. What piece do you think you want to drill into, right? Because Erica's showing you with all her certifications, cybersecurity is a huge piece, right? And some of her stuff, she's not even talking about cybersecurity. She did one with the CISM, but you got the associate architect. I got to work with the CTO. The CTO could design something. He's gonna give it to security to make sure it's gonna pass IRS Pub 1075, HIPAA, OSHA, FERPA, right? So his designs got to pass security, right? Sometimes we don't get along. He likes something, I tell him it's crap, right? So then we go to the CIO, and the CIO's got to, because it's really the CIO's risk to take. I could tell him I don't like something. If they think it's going to make them $1 billion, they might override security. I'm cool with it. That's their decision to make. Like Erica's, she's the CISM, so I give stuff to her. So she's got to make the decision for the organization if she wants to accept that risk. Right? So I trust her. She's in that spot. Now, if we have a disagreement, we might go up to the CISO, Chief Information Security Officer, and chop it up. Right? But she's going to carry a lot of weight, probably a little more weight to me because she's the CISM. She's over compliance, right? I'm just the worker bee, right? So anybody got any questions? Thanks for hanging with me on my struggle stream. It took me a minute to figure out what's going on with my sound. I'm still learning this OBS, and I got to work on some other stuff. I'm working on my streams. I got a better mic. I got a little more soundproofing in my office, so I'm not echoing as much. But I'm still struggle streaming. I appreciate it, Neotropolis. Once again, I'm going to hang a little tight, see if anybody got any more questions. Don't forget Introduction to Cybersecurity, Sunday at 3. If not, just catch the live stream. It was popping. I was surprised. I thought everybody was going to be watching football. But, hey, it's good. Senior manager got the bag. Just give me a piece. Facts. I'm with you on there, Erica. I've been in there. I talk. I'm a senior guy. I talk to the CISOs, the CIOs. I talk like we talked about here. I give them my thoughts, what I believe is correct from IRS Pub 1075. That's one of my specialties. That's one of my domain skills, right? When you ask for the big bag, they want you to know a domain skill. So when I say I'm an IRS Pub 1075 SME, right? I was last one to tech guy struggling to tech. I'm cool, blind guy. I stay in my lane, man. I'm good with security sometimes, though, man. I got too many apps. I got the OBS. I got the YouTube Studio. Then I'm trying to put Restream my own on top of that and pipe my background stuff to it. I'm struggling, blind guy. I'm cool with that. I'm old, man. You won't hurt my feelings, man. When I'm struggling, man. Some things I'm good at, man. And the older I get, the sad part is, and Erica could probably vouch for this, is I don't even touch computers much anymore. I give orders, man. I tell the worker bees what to do, and they report up to me, man. I get mad. They won't let me program anymore. They said my bill rate's too high. They want me to focus on big issues. The Oracle DBAs are failing. Go help them. Right. The project team are not evaluating input validation. Long story. You open the SQL injection, command injection, so many injections from the purple team, right? I'm familiar with all that stuff. So blind guy, I don't even get touch computers much anymore. They told me I charge too much money. I gotta work on big things like the system security plan for the whole agency. So you are correct, blind guy. I do struggle. I miss programming though. Shout out to Erica. I'm gonna have to go to her channel and check her out. Obviously, she kind of validated what I was talking about, and how we move. So I think I'm gonna end it today, fellas. Oh, that's cool because I think I'm gonna teach Python to 8 and 12-year-olds next summer. I think I'm going to do a class like I'm doing Intro to Cybersecurity. I think I'm going to do one because my grandson is, I should know that, 7. So he wants to program with me. So I think I'm going to do a kids programming from 8 to 12. And my mom passed away 2 years ago. Yeah, I made a promise to her and to her church that once I got to a point in my life, I would do some cybersecurity and classes for the church. So for the kids, so I know that's what I'm going to do. I made that promise. So getting to YouTube was the first. Doing an introduction for people I'm comfortable with it, and I'm rolling with that. So I think I'm definitely going to do something for the kids. he will have an app up. That's cool. So yeah, that's my goal. I'm gonna get the kids to do Python. If you ever did AWS, it's called Beanstalk. It's a container where you can put your apps in, and it takes care of all the web server database connections for that as a stepping stone to get in there before you get there. Facts, Erica. You too hard by 13. I feel you. I feel you. Erica's landed down. I'm out. Okay, I'm saying shit out to later. Facts, man. I might need to go to StreamYard, man. I think it's easier. I'm trying to be too clever sometimes. Like, and shout out to you. I looked at your stream today, and your stream was excellent. So I shout out to you. Your StreamYard was working. My OBS, I was struggling. So I tell my grandkids, sometimes you try to do something too complicated, trying to be too cute. Just do something basic. Shout out to them. I'm out, y'all. Let me get back to work. How easy is it for kids to grasp the concept? I think it's gonna be easy. There was one book on Amazon for 10 years for Python, and I've been reviewing it, and I'm actually gonna rewrite it. Cause I was watching my grandson play what's the other one? Fortnite. Fortnite's more complicated than I thought was than Python. They attacking people. They doing hand signals. They diving in water. They throwing 4 grenades from 4 different people synced up. I think if you can do all that in Fortnite, you can figure out a Python. I just want you to type your name, send it through the Python, and change. You put like your Kenneth Williams, have it come out on the other side, William Kenneth. I'm not gonna do anything crazy. Just split them on the printout, right? Just do basic stuff. Facts. Python is free too. And two, there's a couple Python IDEs that big companies use. So I was gonna have them do basic Python and pick an IDE that's used out there to make it easier. So Gray Fox, I'm gonna let you know. And I think Erica's agreement. I think they can figure it out. Like I said, I watched my grandson play Fortnite. Hell, I thought that was more complicated than Python. So that's my 2 cents, Gray Fox. I'll let you know. I'm thinking it's gonna be easy. I'm gonna start getting that together. Probably right after Christmas, because that'll be the spring semester. So, but to be honest, and I'm bounce it off my grandkids to see if they like it or if they think it's more. Facts on the JetBeans. That's one of the IDEs I was looking for. I was actually looking at Eclipse. That's a little harder one that I use for Java, and he's always kind of sitting on my lap playing while we look at the Eclipse IDE, which is free, that I use to do my Java development. True subscription boxes too. Yeah, I was gonna start out something with free first and kind of work my way up to that, Erica. So I'm just gonna try to figure out what that looks like. So that's it, y'all. Let me go do a little work for that fire, brother. I'm trying to go out and eat tonight. I can't get fired. I'm trying to have a good meal, man. Come out and check me out on Sunday. Once again, 3 Eastern time. We're gonna do introduction to cybersecurity. Each module stands by itself. We did wireless. I thought it went super well, and we're gonna chop it up again. My email, if you look at my community tab, is my name, ProfessorBlackOps@gmail.com. I'm gonna do. Somebody asked for a privacy stream. I'm gonna do that one. My man Kev Tech wanted me to do a basic cybersecurity. Like if you just got into cybersecurity and you got basic skills, because that's what he think. What would I recommend, or what jobs could they do, right? So I think I'm gonna do a low-level SOC job. You getting the logs, you loading the logs up, you using the GRC tools to look through the logs, you using some of the bigger programs to look through the logs, because there's too many lines, right? They're gonna look for certain things to see if you were hacked, see if it's encrypted, see if somebody was trying to do a brute force attack. If you're looking at a billion lines, you can't look at that you can't eyeball that out anymore, right? So pray, meditate, and reset first. Eat my food to me, please. Facts. I'm out. Everybody have. I'm sure I'll see y'all around. Great Fox is everywhere I'm at. Maddox is everywhere I'm at. Hellman, I see them in a lot of places. So I'm trying to get more. I appreciate everybody coming out. I appreciate everybody's supporting me. Erica, everybody else, Helmet, have a great, I would say weekend, but we got one more day. So I'm out.